Welcome into another video. This time we're going over my top 24 current fantasy football player rankings. I can't wait to get into this video. We've got a lot to cover, a lot of details to kind of go over on why I think people are placing where they are. So let's not waste any time and get right on into it. Starting here at number 24, we're going with Travis Etienne. Now, I would have been a little bit higher with Travis Etienne coming into this season, but drafting the Auburn running back Tank Bigsby, I think is really going to cut into his workload. I think a lot of the short yardage and goal line carries will be going to Tank Bigsby, where he can really cherish and thrive into that role. So I think Travis Etienne, even though he's not really necessarily known in the NFL as of right now as the pass catching back, he can pass catch out of the backfield, he can run between the tackles, he can kind of do it all, but he also shared the workload last year with like Jermichael Hasty and such, just kind of relieving him. So he's not really a true workhorse, free down type of back, which then comes in Tank Bigsby, which I think is going to take over a lot of type of pressure off of Travis Etienne, including we also have Calvin Ridley at the wide receiver position coming in and also warranting some more targets, dropping Christian Kirk to that number 2 wide receiver role. I think there's going to be a lot of different changes here for the Jacksonville offense. I think they're going to be passing more overall, and I think that Travis Etienne is going to be hurt by Tank Bigsby coming in and taking some of his workload away. I do think that he will be a good fantasy asset for your fantasy team, just not drafted very, very high to where you're saying, okay, he is a, my RB1 for the season. I really don't feel like he should be up there as of right now. So coming in at number 23, we're going to go with T. Higgins. Now, this guy is really showing some great flashes. He's in a potent offense led by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase on the other side. Now, T. Higgins is a nice, lengthy type of wide receiver with very good hands, good red zone target. Really not going to be that deep ball type of guy because that's where Jamar Chase really lives in. But Higgins is somebody you're going to have these flip-flop type of games. Most of the time, it's going to be Jamar Chase games. And then every once in a while, you have T. Higgins with those big boom type of games. Now, he gives you a consistent floor, so T. Higgins is a very good wide receiver to have on your team. I would not say that he should be the number 1 go-to type of wide receiver on your team, but if you can land him as a wide receiver too, I think you're going to be extremely excited with the production he's able to give you week in and week out. He is definitely a top 24 wide receiver in my book, which lands him at number 23. So coming in here at number 22, we're going to be talking about Jalen Waddle. Again, another potent offense, but it's going to say, hey, look, can Tua stay healthy? Because when he went down, we've seen some fluctuations in the numbers. Now, people wasn't able to really get the ball downfield like Tua was able to. Now, with the concussion issues, I'm hoping he's got that kind of taken care of. Tua has bulked up this offense, which should help him stay healthy. And if he can stay healthy for an entire season, not only Tyreek Hill, but Jalen Waddle could be a potent aspect for your fantasy football team. He's somebody that you can definitely count on week in and week out. I wouldn't even be mad at him as your wide receiver 1 on the season. He is just that good. He's got all the talent in the world to be a premier go-to wide receiver. And if I thought Tua could really stay healthy all season long, he might actually be up a couple notches on my top 24 overall rankings for fantasy football for 2023. Let's move it on. At number 21, we're going to talk about Stephon Diggs, and we all know all the rumors and the stories going on with Stephon Diggs being unhappy. Josh Allen's really trying to squash all that, saying, hey, it's all blown out of proportion. It's way more than what you think it is. Stephon Diggs is good to go. I think Diggs just wants to win. You saw how frustrated he was last season into the playoffs when he just wanted the ball and the ball wasn't coming to him. He wants to be the go-to guy. He wants to be able to take the team on his shoulders, and that really bodes well for you for fantasy football. So as long as all's well and Stephon Diggs has a cooler head, I think there's a good opportunity that Josh Allen's going to force the ball to him a little bit more than he did last year. So we can definitely see a spike in production from Stephon Diggs in 2023, which lands him at number 21 in my top 24 overall fantasy football player. So moving right along, going over to number 20, and we're going to land at Breece Hall. Now, Breece Hall could be tons higher than this next year. Just this year coming off the ACL surgery, I'm not really sure what we can look at. Plus, Aaron Rodgers coming into town. You know Aaron Rodgers isn't going to want to just hand the ball off all day. He wants to prove that he's still got it, not only to the NFL, but to the Green Bay Packers, saying, hey, look, you guys missing out on me right now. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come in here, start slinging the ball everywhere. He's going to have an MVP caliber type of season in 2023. 2023. And I think that's going to leave Breece Hall in a little bit of a divot. Not only he's coming over from a major knee injury, but now he's got to deal with Aaron Rodgers not really wanting to hand the ball all too often. So still think Breece Hall is a worldly type fantasy football player and a worldly fantasy football talent, an NFL talent, but I just think we need to take a back seat when we're talking about Breece Hall. There's tons of people who have him in their top 10 right now, and I just can't see it. With the injury history and with Aaron Rodgers, I understand the offense will be better, but it's not going to be better to the point because they're getting it to Breece Hall. They're going to be better because Aaron Rodgers is slinging the ball all over the field. So that's why I have Breece Hall down at number 20. Now, moving along to number 19, we're going over Alexander Mattison. This guy I'm absolutely phenomenal and excited for because he finally gets the opportunity to do something. If you saw a video ways back that I did on the channel when Dalvin Cook was actually released, Alexander Mattison played, it was either 8 or 9 games, which he had over 20 carries within his whole season, and he's been a phenomenal player. I mean, he's scoring either over 100 yards or over 90 yards, multiple touchdowns. He's even involved with 3 or more pass catches in every single game that he's had over 20 carries. And so he's being involved in the pass game. He's definitely being involved. And I mean, who do they got down there? You know, we got Ty Chandler, we got the rookie Dwayne McBride. Who's going to take some carries away from Madison? Nobody. He was going to leave in free agency, and the team told Alexander Mattison, look, we're probably going to move on from Dalvin Cook. We want you to be our starter, because Madison was set on being a starter somewhere in the NFL, which is why he wanted to leave. But he came back in free agency on a 2-year deal. I think it was worth over $8 million. Really decent deal. I think they give Alexander Mattison the ball quite a bit in 2023, and it's going to shock a lot of people to see the production that Alexander Mattison can give you and your fantasy team. If you're drafted now, get him sneaky wise early, because I think once it comes to draft season, people start seeing what he's doing in the preseason. Alexander Mattison will wow people in 2023, and he could be the steal of the draft and ultimately lead you to a championship. So let's move it right along. We're going to number 18 and going to be the only quarterback on our board right here. We're going to talk about Patrick Mahomes. This guy is absolutely phenomenal, and we're starting to see quarterbacks creep up a little bit earlier in drafts now. They used to be like, oh, wait on your quarterbacks, you know, maybe round 4, round 5, round 6. But now we're seeing the people like the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen, the Jalen Hurts, Justin Herberts, and all these guys, Joe Burrows of the world. It's going to be pretty vital for you to have a decent quarterback on your team, and Patrick Mahomes can definitely give you that. I mean, we look at the plethora of wide receivers he has, whether it's MVS or Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, Richie James, the other wide receiver they got from the New York Giants. So there's a lot of weapons here. There's not one that sticks out saying, hey, he's going to be the guy. If I had to put my bet on somebody, it'd probably be Kadarius Toney, and then maybe MVS can give you some solid production there as well. But it doesn't really matter, because Patrick Mahomes throws to Travis Kelce a ton, and he's able to produce solidly as a fantasy football player for your team. So let's go ahead and move over here to number 17. We're going to talk about Derrick Henry. Now, Derrick Henry, everybody's like, when is he going to fall off? When is he going to fall off? I'm not sure when Derrick Henry is going to fall off, but I do know he's going to give you 20 plus carries a game, and he's going to dominate the football field. I can't wait to see Derrick Henry, what he can do. There is nothing on this offense. Ryan Tannehill's towards the end of his career. There's no good wide receivers out there. I mean, I guess you could say Treylon Burks. We'll see how he develops this year. But overall, it's the Derrick Henry show. There's no running backs behind him to take any carries away from him, and it's just going to be a dominating type of performance week in and week out from Derrick Henry. Doesn't matter if they put 11 guys in the box to stop Derrick Henry, it's not going to work. So get Derrick Henry on your team. You're not going to be disappointed that you have him on your team. He is an absolutely phenomenal monster. Let's move it on over to number 16. We're going to talk about Austin Eckler, and I have him a lot lower than probably what a lot of people do on their rankings. Austin Eckler really scares me this year. He's already been very verbal that he wants to leave the Chargers. The Chargers, how will they respond? Are they going to want to run Austin Eckler into the ground, knowing that he's number one, not the future, and number two, he really doesn't want to be there, so why not lower his market and give him a poorer season overall, which kind of is going to say, hey, the Chargers are laughing at Austin Eckler, saying, your value isn't what it is. Nobody even wants you on your team now. So I don't know how the Chargers, will they be petty? Will they not? Will they go back to what Austin Eckler was? Because he has the opportunity of being the number one running back in the NFL for fantasy football. We just don't know, but I definitely dropped him on my rankings. I don't believe that 2023 he's going to repeat of what he did last year. I don't think that he is a premier running back in this league. I think he's just way too small and to be able to keep up the things that he is doing. But that lands him at number 16 on my list. So moving up into the top 15 now. At number 15, we're going over Josh Jacobs. Now, he was the #1 fantasy football running back in 2022. I don't know if he's going to do it the same thing in 2023. I would bet on the chips that he will not. He's really upset with his contract as the recording of this video, so not really sure what's going to go over that, but it all should smooth over before the season starts. There's nobody there for Josh Jacobs to take any type of pressure off of him, so he's going to be on the field quite a bit. They have Jimmy Garoppolo now at the quarterback spot. Josh Jacobs, I think overall the offense will be a little bit worse, which is going to hurt Josh Jacobs quite a bit. I don't think he's going to be coming even close to the amount of yardage that he put up in 2022. I'm saying buyers beware. Josh Jacobs could be a bust for 2022, but talent alone and what he can do and his opportunities is what has him here at the 15th spot in my rankings. So moving right along, we're going over to number 14. We're going to talk about Chris Olave. Now, he's a guy coming into a sophomore season that I'm really excited about. I think that he can prove that he belongs as a premier wide receiver in this league. Coming over from Ohio State with his partner Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith-Njigba, he showed out just like Garrett Wilson did in his offense. Chris Olave did it with Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston as well. Now he gets an upgrade at quarterback with Derek Carr coming over from the Raiders. I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal for him. I don't think by any means that Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football or the NFL alone, but I do think that he is a clear upgrade over Andy Dalton and what he can produce. I think as long as they build the rapport there, Chris Olave has shown that he is the #1 wide receiver on this team. Doesn't matter if Michael Thomas is back whatsoever. Chris Olave is the guy for this offense, and we are going to be able to see that in 2023. There will be a huge breakout season for Chris Olave. I'm stating it right here in the top 24 rankings that Chris Olave will definitely most likely be a top 5 wide receiver if all goes planned. Not only am I a Saints fan, but I watch the Saints very closely, so that means I've watched a lot of Chris Olave very, very closely, and the way he runs the routes and the way he can catch the ball is just absolutely phenomenal. He got the intermediate, he's got the deep, and he can also catch those little hitch routes for the short yardage gains too. He's got everything there is. The offense total, I think with Juwan Johnson and Michael Thomas, even the rookie A.T. Perry coming in, they've got a lot of players here that can be an offense that they can stay on the field and push the chains a lot, which gives more opportunity for Chris Olave. And even though the Saints have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL right now, it only bodes well for Chris Olave, and that's why definitely I have him at my 14th spot for 2023 in my rankings. Let's move it on to number 13. We're going over AJ Brown. This guy is another absolutely phenomenal wide receiver. He is one of Jalen Hurts' best friends. They do have Devonta Smith on the other side, so there are some games where AJ Brown may not go crazy because Devonta Smith's got to go get his, but more times than not, it's almost like the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins situation, where sometimes Higgins is going to get his. So, you know, Jamar Chase might not go crazy. Same thing with AJ Brown. He may not go crazy because Devonta Smith needs to kind of get his. Overall, very good wide receiver. If you have him as your #1 wide receiver on your team, you are happy that you do. He's going to give you a lot of good boom games. We're talking about 35, 40 points because he can go crazy for 3 touchdowns at any given moment. This offense is potent. There's a reason why they made it to the Super Bowl and why they were so successful in 2022. I don't see any reason why the Eagles can't be successful in 2023, which definitely, again, bodes well for AJ Brown and being a successful fantasy wide receiver for your football team. Let's move it on along to number 12. We're going with the old man, Travis Kelce. Now, when will this guy fall off? It's like a Derrick Henry situation. You know, Derrick Henry and Travis Kelce have been phenomenal for years. They got to fall off sooner or later, then, right? Every year we say it. Well, this is the year Travis Kelce. Well, you know what? Until he falls off, then I'm going to keep him up high in my rankings. That puts him here at number 12 here. The dude is phenomenal. He's got the best quarterback, maybe even in the history of the NFL when it's all said and done, throwing him the football. The dude does everything, whether it's the short yardage, whether it's the long yardage, the red zone, it doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes has eyes for Kelce. So Kelce is somebody, if you can draft, you're going to have to probably draft him in the first round this year. But you're going to have a positional advantage if you do get him. The problem with drafting a tight end so early is it puts you behind on the curve on your running backs and your wide receiver spot. So if you can find some good value down the line with running back or maybe even wide receiver, it could very, very much bode well for your team. If you have Travis Kelce, it's your tight end. It's a set it and forget it type of guy. Somebody you don't even need to draft a backup tight end. You can pick somebody off of waivers when they have a bye week, and you'll be happy that you did. Travis Kelce, not much else you can really say about this guy. He's phenomenal. phenomenal. If you draft him on your team, you're very happy that you did. The only problem is the premium's probably coming out of first round pick this year, and a lot of people don't really even want to pay for that. So we'll go on with that. So at number 11, we're going to go over with Garrett Wilson, another guy in the sophomore season. We touched a little bit on Garrett Wilson when we talked about Chris Olave, but Wilson's getting an upgraded quarterback as well. He's getting Aaron Rodgers coming into the building. So on the other side of Garrett Wilson, you're probably seeing people like Alan Lazard and all these people coming over from Green Bay as well. There's not really anybody that's that go-to number 1A wide receiver on the Jets, unless your name is Garrett Wilson. So I think Wilson's going to get plenty of opportunities. I think you're going to kind of see Aaron Rodgers understand that last year in Green Bay, he didn't do very well because he didn't have that Davante Adams type of guy. He wants that Davante Adams type of guy, and that is Garrett Wilson. So now that he's coming over to the Jets, you could probably see him really hone in and target in on Wilson early and often. We're talking to 8 to 10 targets a game, real easy. It should be pushing for 100 yards receiving every single week, possibly touchdowns. So I love Garrett Wilson in 2023. Again, another breakout wide receiver for anyone in fantasy football, and I'm sure he's going to show that he belongs probably in the top 3 wide receivers when it's all said and done coming into 2024. So looking up for the next one at the top 10 now. At number 10, let's talk about Saquon Barkley. This guy's hopefully to get his contract. He hasn't got his contract as of right now of recording this video, but he's somebody who is the entire offense for the New York Giants. Yeah, they did get Darren Waller in over there to help Daniel Jones with the passing game, but there's nobody in the backfield that's going to even compete for touches than Saquon Barkley. The dude is absolutely phenomenal. His thighs are like the size of my monitors. The dude can run over anybody, and he's got all the talent in the world. People were thinking about his injury history and was really concerned about that earlier on in his career, but he came in last year and showed us that he can stay healthy for the season, and he can be productive for your fantasy football season. He can easily be the number 1 fantasy running back in the NFL any year he wants to. He just needs to, number 1, be able to stay healthy, and number 2, continue to get those opportunities. Be able to slide in probably Saquon Barkley as maybe your RB2. Sometimes you can get him early in the second round. I think that's an absolute steal to start your draft off, maybe with a premier wide receiver, or maybe go with 2 running backs, maybe like a Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley or something like that. I think that would be a really, really nice way to start off your 2023 roster. So moving right along, let's go over to number 9. We're going to talk about CeeDee Lamb. Finally broke out as of last year, showed us why he was drafted so high and why we know he can be a 1A type of receiver in the NFL, and you love it if you have him as your number 1 guy on your fantasy football team. You could probably get him towards the back end of the first round, possibly even early second round, depending on how the ADP has been fluctuating, but you can get him at an extremely good value right now. You don't have to pay a high premium as far as a high first round pick for the guy. He will fall to you in the draft, and it's somebody that if you have on your team, and even if he is your number 1 go-to type of wide receiver, you're very excited that he's there. He can produce for you week in and week out. He's got a quarterback in Dak Prescott who loves to throw 400 yards on any given week. So even though they did get Brandon Cooks over from Houston, I think that's going to only do well for CeeDee Lamb. I think it's going to take a little bit more pressure off of him, which may give him some more open opportunities to produce even more fantasy points for your football team. Moving right along, going over to number 8, we're going over Cooper KUPP. Now, Cooper KUPP originally was a little bit lower in my rankings, but I just moved him up now that I know that Matthew Stafford is coming back to the season way healthy. He's ready to go for one more. I thought he was either going to retire because he was hurt or whatnot. There's nobody else on this team. There's Van Jefferson on the other side. That's pretty much the only competition that Cooper KUPP has. His route running is crisp. His hands are crisp, and he's somebody that you have to get early on in your fantasy drafts. Some people are even taking him number 1 overall, so you just have to look out for it. He's going to go probably in the top 5 guaranteed. Cooper KUPP is somebody, a set it and forget it type of wide receiver. I love this guy. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season. Not really the triple crown like he had a few years ago, but I think he's still going to be solid and be probably either a top 3 wide receiver easily in fantasy football in 2023. So moving right along here at number 7, we're going with Tyreek Hill. This guy, man, he is the definition of a boom or bust type of wide receiver. This dude can throw up 4 touchdowns and 300 yards receiving any given game as long as Tua is staying healthy. As soon as Tua went down, we saw Tyreek's numbers drop a little bit in fantasy production, and you wasn't as happy as you was when Tua was the quarterback. Now that Tua's kind of bulked up a little bit, and we did touch on this a little bit when we talked about Jalen Waddle, but Tua did bulk up. Hopefully he can take a little bit of a hit now and stay healthy throughout the entire season. We're going to see Tyreek Hill go absolute bananas this year, and that's why I have him up at number 7, and he's the number 3 wide receiver on my list for a reason. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. You're going to have to pick probably a mid-round, first-round pick for this guy if you want him on your team, but he's somebody if you have on your team and you're down by like 50 points going into Monday Night Football and all you have is Tyreek Hill left, you still think, you know what, I have a chance, because Tyreek Hill can give you that chance of that boom, outstanding type of game that you've never seen before. That's that kind of player. So that's why I have Tyreek Hill at number 7. So moving right along at number 6, let's talk about Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb, now that Kareem Hunt is out of the building, should get all of the workload. Now, he was already all of the workload when we're talking about running the ball. Now he's going to get all the workload in the passing game. So I think Deshaun Watson should look for Nick Chubb quite a bit out of the backfield to tack on to those gaudy numbers that he has running the football. I think he's going to be an absolutely phenomenal running back, and that's why I have him at the 3rd ranked running back on my list right now, just because the dude can do it all. If you have Nick Chubb, you can get him into tail end of the 1st round. Even seen him sometimes go early on in the 2nd round, but Nick Chubb is a phenomenal RB1 for your football team. If you want to branch out, grab the guy, you're not going to be disappointed that you have him on your roster. So let's go on to number 5. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor, and I'm looking for a bounce back season for Jonathan Taylor. A little bit disappointed, a little bit of injury last year. Now he's got a rookie quarterback coming in, Anthony Richardson, but Richardson is a guy who I think he can throw good enough. He has some accuracy issues that I've seen at Florida, but he uses his legs a lot. And when you have a quarterback that's mobile, who can use their legs, running at 4.2 40, and as big as this guy is, they're not going to be able to stack the box against Jonathan Taylor, because they have to put some quarterback spies out there to make sure Anthony Richardson doesn't beat them with his legs. So even though maybe Gardner Minshew might start the season, I think this is Anthony Richardson's team. The dude's going to be absolutely phenomenal. He will be the starter, and it's only going to bode well, very, very well for Jonathan Taylor in this season. I think he's going to be a phenomenal running back. And if it wasn't for this rookie that came out, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor would be the number 1 running back on my list. And without further ado, because I just talked about him, let's move over to number 4. We're talking about Bijan Robinson. The dude is absolutely phenomenal. He's somebody that he could probably take over the absolute number 1 spot on my running back list as early as 2024, but I can't pass him against the next guy we're going to go over here in a second. But Bijan Robinson has all the tools. He went to an offense who was 2nd in the league in rushing totals in 2022. I mean, Tyler Algiers, a 1,000 rusher right behind him. So the offense, they're going to run quite a bit. They've got Desmond Ridder at quarterback, still got Drake London, Kyle Pitts. They got a lot of weapons on the outside. But Bijan Robinson is going to be able to do everything, whether he's going to be the gadget type of player, running through the tackles, catch the ball in the backfield. He can make you miss at any given opportunity. And every time you see him carry the ball, you're just looking at it, just points galore, just going all over the place. I'm going to enjoy watching Bijan Robinson this season. I think phenomenal just for the NFL, but also phenomenal for your football team, and fun to see, because you know he's just going to rack up the points in 2023. So moving along to the number 1 running back, we have which is coming in at number 3 on my top 24 list, and that's Christian McCaffrey. The dude is absolutely phenomenal. Plays on an amazing team who has an amazing defense, which gives him even more opportunities at the running back spot. He could put up points better than anybody in the NFL. The dude is an absolute stud. He can easily be the number 1 running back in fantasy football in 2023. He's always going to be phenomenal. I think his worries of him staying healthy are kind of behind him. The dude's an absolute stud. Get him on your football team. You'll be happy that you did. The dude scores a crazy amount of points, and he'll probably go anywhere in the top 5 in your drafts as of right now, as far as ADP goes. And I think he's phenomenal. Start your team, a good cornerstone piece to put on your football team. He's on a great rushing attack on offense, a good division to run the football in. I love Christian McCaffrey in 2023. Coming in at number 2, we're going to talk about Jamar Chase. He's a phenomenal wide receiver. I love starting out wide receiver heavy in 2023. I strongly believe in that. There's good enough running backs you can get later on in the draft, which is why in the number 1 and the number 2 spot I have on my top 24 rankings are wide receivers. And Jamar Chase is just phenomenal. He's somebody who can win you a week at any given week. He can boom out there. He has the consistency. He has a very, very high floor, which is what I really do like about Jamar Chase. But even though with a high floor, he has a very high ceiling too, because he can catch a 60-yard throw for a touchdown any given week from Joe Burrow. So they're really really best friends. They both played at LSU together. So Jamar Chase, nothing else to really say about the guy. Go get the guy. You'll be happy that you did. And if he falls to you any later than 2, please run up to the podium and select this guy. He's absolutely phenomenal. Let's talk about the number 1 guy on our top 24 rankings right here. We're talking about Justin Jefferson. The dude is great. He's literally the best wide receiver in football right now. He's got the route running very, very crisp with that. He's got amazing hands, and he's got a quarterback that wants to give him the football. Yeah, they got the rookie Jordan Addison on the other side here. Doesn't matter. I mean, they got TJ Hawkinson at the tight end spot. Doesn't matter. He's gonna get his. He's gonna get his. You know, it doesn't matter who's guarding Justin Jefferson. Most of the time, he's able to break coverage and he's able to dominate. We saw in the playoff game last season that he got shut down a little bit, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't shy me away from Justin Jefferson because he was phenomenal almost week in and week out for your fantasy team all in 2022, and I think he'll do the same thing in 2023. So if you have the number 1 pick in your draft, I think Justin Jefferson should definitely be the pick. Go up there, slam it down, grab Justin Jefferson, and be happy that you have him. But that's all it goes for my top 24 rankings of 2023. I appreciate you guys being here. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave a comment down below. Who do you agree with? Who do you don't agree with? Who did I miss out of my top 24 that should have been in there? I can't wait to see all the comments, to go back and forth with you guys. I really appreciate you guys watching the videos. We're climbing up close to 600 subscribers. Super excited for the growth of this channel, where it's going. So I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. See you guys next time.